So thank you very much, everyone, for showing up and for always showing up and for your patience with my still grappling with the technology and being very clumsy with it. So I will be doing the usual. That is, we will do a meditation. After doing the meditation, I will go into the topic, synchronicity. And come to think of it, I don't think the perspective on synchronicity that I'm going to present is exactly synchronicity. But that's what comes up for me when I encounter what I think is synchronicity and what people report to me as synchronicity. Okay. All right, so as usual, let's do our meditation. Make sure you are sitting in a posture that is conducive to meditation. From the posture, you feel both comfort and stability. The comfort allows you to access more peaceful and more ecstatic states, and the stability helps the mind attention to collect itself. So look for those two in the body itself, stability and comfort. Make whatever adjustments you feel you need to make until you feel a sense of confidence that the posture is actually conducive to meditation. And from within the posture itself, you may begin to feel that you are making contact with what we may call the meditative state. The signs are the calm, pleasantness, a sense of distinctiveness with the body, however that distinctiveness appears to you or is experienced, a sense of presentness of the body, like you are aware of what's happening with the body almost immediately as it is happening. And because of this, because we have directed our attention to this experience in the body, it aligns the different dimensions of our being to enter into similar experience. So similar experience with the breath, calming, a pleasantness, a distinctiveness, a vividness, a nowness. And of course, in the mind itself, where the mind feels its own form of calm, its own form of pleasantness. The clarity and luminosity in the mind will be experienced as arisen sensations. That is, you may suddenly start to see colors, shapes, or visions, suddenly start to hear inner sound, or feel tactile sensations, or something that is arising to any one of your senses that is definitely not something that your senses are making contact with your environment. So those are the inner, the mental signs of now your mind is touching clarity, touching luminosity, which feels that distinct knowing and nowness with the breath and the body. And if you just pay attention to just these signs, that itself could be a meditation that could take you to experience ever more subtle, ever more powerful consciousness. And once you feel confident, that you feel aligned, the body is ready, the breath is ready, the mind is ready, as a way of sort of signing the conviction, the commitment to enter meditation, we will bring attention to the breath. Just being present with the breath. No need to control the breath. No need to try to make anything happen with the breath. No need to chase away any experiences. No need to grasp onto any experience. Just as much as you can, be aware of the breath. And by just attuning to the breath in this way, you may suddenly begin to be aware of a slight shift in the behavior of the breath, a slight shift in the very consciousness that is attending to the breath. Take that as another indication of readiness. And with that, we will sign our commitment with a deep, conscious breath. So, whichever of the signs that you find prominent for you, dominant for you, whether they are in the body, the breath, or the mind, stay connected with that sign, whether it's the calm, the peace, the pleasantness, the vividness of experience, the nowness of experience, the sense of radiance in experience, whatever it may be. Just stay connected to it, stay aware of it. And while you're staying aware of it, take a nice deep conscious breath, gently, fully through the nose, breathe in. Hold the breath as though preparing yourself to dive inwardly. Feel consciousness, feel ready to go even deeper into this very experiences that you're having. And when you feel ready, release. And as you're releasing the breath, feel yourself going deeper into the signs, deeper into the calm, deeper into the pleasantness, deeper into the clarity, deeper into radiance, deeper into collected attention. And whatever other experiences are for you, experiences that occur when you're in meditation. And at the end of that exhalation, be aware that you are in a slightly deeper state than when you were before the exhalation. Take a moment to acknowledge it, rejoice, and prepare yourself again for 2 more of these breaths. Gently, fully breathe in, hold, staying aware of the sign that's prominent, and dive into that sign. And as you release the breath, let yourself go deeper into that sign. Let the calm become calmer. Let the pleasantness become more pleasant. Let the inner sensations become even stronger, clearer, brighter, more vivid. And at the end of the exhalation, again, take a moment to notice you're slightly deeper than you were before. The very awareness that is aware of this has a slight distinction to it, slight difference in terms of its vividness, how it is experiencing the very same experiences. Rejoice. And for the 3rd time, gently again through the nose, breathe in. Hold, staying aware, and be ready to dive. Let yourself go deeper into that sign. Release. And let the breath return by itself whenever it wants to. Staying connected, rejoicing, noticing the new depth. And we, we are simply going to hold a particular view for a few moments as the meditation. And that view is whatever you're experiencing as your reality. And this reality may have the duality of me within an environment. Just hold on to this understanding and trying to allow awareness to drop into a center. Consider your body as it is being experienced, your mind with the different ideas, beliefs, emotions as they are experienced energetically, how you feel energetically, and your environment and your relationship with your environment. Hold on to this possibility. All these are emerging from a center, but not just any kind of center. It's not a center the way we understand center in space, but rather a center that is simultaneously everywhere. And out of that, our reality emerged. So just hold on to the intention or the desire to allow everything to return to that center. So whatever you're experiencing, tell yourself, this is emerging from that center. Leave it alone and watch it. Eventually it will disappear, and try to be in the space where it completely disappears. As in a sequence, get ready to come out of the meditation. So there's that pure space, which is like a center, but is simultaneously everywhere. And a pure expression comes out, that is your own capacity to understand, and a very strong non-dual awareness of it. And with that pure, that appearance, which is a pure appearance from that, state your intention and wish that this capacity to understand that is innate within you stays connected to your consciousness, your your most outward consciousness. And allow your heart to be open to spontaneous compassion, so that wherever compassion compels you, feel ready to respond in whatever ways that is in your capacity, and for you to be able to know what your capacity is. And with that sense of readiness, get ready to come out of the meditation. First, bring attention to the space of the meditation, the sense of calm, the sense of pleasantness, the degree to which you're experiencing clarity and radiance and collected attention. Noticing any measure of them, rejoice that you are indeed in meditation. Make the intention to come out. Take a nice deep breath. And as you release the breath, let yourself deliberately reconnect with your immediate surroundings. Deliberately be aware of your surroundings through a sense of touch, sense of hearing, sense of sight. Okay. All right. Again, welcome and good evening, everyone, and good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you're listening. Thank you. I did warn you that the meditations would get less and less elaborate. Okay, so if you're looking for elaborations, sorry. I mean, it may happen one day. I feel, okay, I'm going to be very elaborate this time, and I make you visualize the entire universe with every atom. And on each atom, visualize a flower with 8 petals and 16 petals holding a blue diamond. So for those of you who missed the elaborations, don't worry, it may come back. Okay, all right. All right, sorry, first of all, I may still be coughing every once in a while, so sorry about that. At first, the coughing was very dry. Now it's not so dry. Definitely, I will need. I was so sick I couldn't go to see I was too sick to go to see a doctor. Now that I'm well, I can go see a doctor now. Okay. All right. So, synchronicity. It's a very interesting topic. And it's not something, I don't think there is an actual term that I've encountered within Buddhism that says this is synchronicity. Don't forget that term, synchronicity, the way we understand it, as some, how would you define it? It's like some, something that seems to happen. I would say it is maybe a fortuitous thing that seemed to happen, and it doesn't seem to have any direct connection to any cause, right? Where we say, or that's synchronicity, where you are thinking something, and then you go out and you encounter. It seems like you encountered that thing, so that would be a synchronicity. The term synchronicity itself, I think the way we understand it, actually is very, very new to humanity. Well, I'm saying humanity in the West, especially. I think the modern usage of it comes from Carl Jung. I think it's come from Carl Gustav Jung. I think I'm not quite sure about that in terms of the modern use of it. Now, it doesn't mean that the way it is described that there isn't something very similar that Buddhism addresses. Okay. There are several layers, several dimensions where Buddhism treats a particular topic that seems to be, it's talking about synchronicity. But before we get into it, we have to first of all say that as far as Buddhism is concerned, there's no such thing as something that doesn't have a cause. Okay, even though in the somewhat modern usage of the term synchronicity, it seems to be something that happens without a cause. Okay, and that's what they refer to as a synchronicity. Okay, but the phenomena that is being pointed to, one conclusion is that, it's weird. It doesn't seem to have a cause. Buddhism said, yes, that phenomena, I'm looking at it too, but it has a cause. Okay, so that's where they could say they differ. Now, if to just say it has a cause, then it seems like, okay, we just leave it at karma and then good night. Talk is over. So what particular aspect of synchronicity, even though it is cause, that so from the realm of causality, from the realm of the understanding of causation, what particular phenomena, what particular experience within that realm that is being extracted and being referred to as synchronicity? Okay, so the synchronicity that I prefer, that Buddhism talks about, is more in terms of not just synchronicity in terms of simultaneous inner and outer sort of experience taking place, where, as the example in the email, you are thinking of flamingos, and then you go out for a drive, and then a flock of flamingos. You see a flock of flamingos. Okay. There are certain things like, in terms of when we experience that, our mind being what it is, it wants to ascribe meaning to the experience. Why am I seeing the flamingo when I was thinking about it earlier? Why is this happening? Why am I experiencing? Why am I encountering this when I was just thinking about it? When I just dreamt about it? When I was just talking about it with my friend? Okay, well, if you were talking about it with your friends, the synchronicity is Siri was listening. Okay, you're talking about a particular car you like, and then you get an advertisement that shows about the car. Okay, that is nothing to do with synchronicity. That's Siri listening to your conversations. Okay, it's okay. Let's throw that out. We're not talking about that. Okay, but rather synchronicity for someone who's on the path. That's the synchronicity I want to refer to. Okay. Excuse me. When let's sort of quickly talk about the path as this activity. It is aligning your view, your perspective, so that the way you relate with reality is in alignment with the actual reality, actual nature of reality. Okay, so call that the path. It is a way of engaging reality. And what does that mean, engaging reality? Whatever experience that you are having that seems to arise on its own, like what you might say, you're forced to have that experience. At that very moment that you're having the experience, you must do something. You must engage it in one way or another. And the engagement can be, I'm going to ignore it. So you are doing something to it. You are ignoring it, or you engage with it in some way, in some way, right? So when something seems to arise, however you deal with it is a way of relating. Even ignoring it is a way of relating with it. Okay, like for example, you're walking down the street, and then you see someone who's in need. That is not something that you're imagining happening. That is something that seems to be happening to you. You are encountering something. You can choose to ignore it, or you can choose to see what you can do. What is your capacity? What capacities you may have to actually be of help. Okay, either one is relating with it, whether you ignore it or whether you attend to it. Okay, all these are ways of relating with reality. Okay, so whatever you are experiencing, whatever you experience as your reality, when you begin to deliberately seek to relate with these experiences that are your reality in such a way that you seek to be connected to the underlying truth of it. You want to be in alignment with the mechanism or the dynamic of the experience of the reality itself. You want to be to put it in a very to put it in this way, you want to be in alignment with the truth, the real truth of the experience. Okay. So when you are in that journey, of course, there are, for the most part, there will be what you call that experience, hit or miss. It's not hit or miss, missing mostly. It'll be mostly missing the target. Okay, you seek to make connection with the underlying reality, the truth that is there, but because of the cake of imagination that we are stuck to about what reality is, instead of what we encounter another one of our imaginations. Okay, but we are making progress because the intention is to encounter the truth, the true nature of our experiences. Because of that intention, we start to make headway. We start to be more in the line. We could say we get closer and closer and closer. And because the intention is sincere, the very energy of that sincerity actually brings you closer and closer and closer. And because your intention is sincere, because you're actually getting closer and closer, that very proximity that you experience towards that center, that truth, you have no choice but to begin to alter how you are relating with reality. Okay? Like, for example, you encountered the person who is in need in the street, and you felt a tug, and you responded to the tug in your heart, and then you help as much as you can to the best of your ability. Okay? So you are responding. You are relating with the reality. And as you are relating with reality, with that, there's a part of you that is sort of like, has the understanding, this is a surface. This is the surface. There's something much deeper than that, that I'm not yet in touch with, that I've not yet contacted. I would like to make contact with that. Okay. And because of that, you find yourself having to begin to change your behavior. And because you are changing your behavior according to what at the beginning will be what you feel is in alignment with the nature, with the truth that is being presented to you. And because of that, then reality begins to actually shift. That is the way you experience reality. There is a corresponding response from reality to this alignment that is taking place, to this approximation that is taking place. Okay, and this is where synchronicities begin to be experienced. Okay, because of the far distance that we have between the nature of reality, and because of that, the way we relate with reality makes us not so sensitive to begin to develop a seeing of relationships, a seeing of connections. At first, it will be more a sense of connection, not necessarily seeing the actual connection itself. Like being aware, I was thinking of flamingos, and then I see flamingos. Not that flamingos appearing and you thinking about it before necessarily has a meaning other than just that experience, at least on the surface level. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is a bad omen or good omen or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to have that kind of a meaning. But because you are aware of, I was thinking, I was talking, and then there it is. The reason that you are aware of it is because you were aligning yourself with the truth of experiences. You are seeking alignment with the truth of experiences. And this begins to create a sensitivity within you where you start to have experiences that makes you think about connections. Maybe there's a connection between me thinking about it and then it appearing. Maybe there's a connection. Maybe there's no connection, but at least it's bringing you into the realm of contemplating, into becoming more and more sensitive to connections. Okay? Now that you are becoming more and more sensitive to connections, at first it's just basically there is such a thing as connection. Not necessarily you're seeing connection. Oh, I see this and I see the connection between this and that. Not necessarily that yet, but at least on an awareness that there is such a thing. And such a thing is not that there are connections, is not just it's not just mere wishing. It's a very strong sense of a truth. Okay? That there are connections. Now that you are in that realm of, now you begin to be open, you be all more sensitive, then you begin to experience, begin to observe. Once in a while, you may see these coincidences that seems to happen. You begin to notice more and more of them. And because you are opening yourself to connections, then you begin to actually, maybe one day, actually witness connections. Oh, this is connected to that thing that happened 5 years ago. And you may not know in the beginning exactly how they're connected, but there's a strong sense within you that there is a connection. Okay, so this is the journey. This is the journey. Now, this is where the synchronicity that I'm referring to begins within that realm. So the more you align yourself with a sincere wish to connect with the truth of your experiences, the more you become aligned, the more you become, the more you get closer and closer, proximate to that. And as a result of the proximation that you are getting, that you're experiencing, then you start to experience synchronicities. And one of the synchronicities is that, remember, because you are now aligning yourself with the truth of your experiences, your behavior begins to be modified to match the realization that you're getting, because your behavior is matching the understanding that is arising within you. This excuse me, this begin to create an inner dynamism within you, where what you thought were, oh, I wish for this, I wish for that, and then you usually we dismiss them, or if it is a very strong wish for something, that strong wish means that the feeling comes, that wish comes, and it lingers longer than usual. When there was a distance, because we were not, we didn't have the proximity to the true nature of reality, our behavior didn't match that. So there was a distance we experienced between wishing for something and experiencing it. But when that alignment and proximity begins to occur, then you begin to, because all these things are becoming aligned. Okay, what you wish for is what you have the capacity to make contact with. Before then, let's put it in this very new agey way. Okay, I'm saying new agey way because most people will understand this. Not that it is the absolute sophisticated presentation, but it's a nice presentation. Okay, when you have more bad karma, it was coming. I told you it was new agey. When you have more bad karma, your wishes cannot align with reality. You will wish for something, but you will not see the connections of what are the things that needs to be together for that wish to be fulfilled. As a matter of fact, the bad karma, meaning very distant, creating a relationship of very of far distance from truth. Okay, that's called bad karma. That okay, creating a very far distance from truth. Now remember, creating a far distance from truth doesn't mean that you are in, oh, I don't know. You're not living in I don't know. You're living in I know, and you're wrong completely. I know, I know, I know what connect this and that, but you're wrong. But it feels for you that you're right because you're far from truth. That's what far from truth means. We wish far from truth was, oh, I don't know, I wish I could know. No, I don't know, I wish I could know is actually wisdom. But rather it's, I know, and when you absolutely don't know. Okay? And when we are behaving from I know when you absolutely don't know, we are distant from truth. So we are not sensitive to true connections. We see deceptive connections, you could say, even. We see deceptive connections. Okay, so you wish for something, but the things that you think are connected to fulfilling that wish are not the things that are actually connected to fulfilling that wish. So you're not able to fulfill your wishes. Or you could say the most devious part of it is that you find yourself wishing for things that is impossible for you to fulfill. I think that's the most devious part. Like, I have a craving to live on Mars now. Now I cannot live on Mars, but I have a craving to live on Mars. That comes from my bad karma, my distance from truth. Okay. But when you are becoming more aligned, I will not, it will not be possible for me to wish to now live on Mars. Okay? If while you are in that proximity, if indeed I have the wish, I wish to live on Mars now, I would begin to see the connection on how that could be possible. Okay? So when you're on the path, seeking alignment with truth, with the true nature of reality, creates a proximity where your very thoughts are in alignment with the nature of reality. So you could say your wishes are not against the universe. That's another new agey way of putting it, but it sounds cute. Okay. Your wishes are not in opposition to the universe. In fact, your wishes, you begin to adapt within your own being what could be interpreted, what could be said. No, we are just saying it could be said. Not that this is the absolute truth, but just for the sake of talking, your wishes become the wishes that the universe has. So you begin to have, you begin to only wish for things that are actually possible. Okay, that is why synchronicity you begin to experience synchronicity in your life, especially with deep felt aspirations that feel connected to the true nature of reality. And by true nature of reality, I mean, imagine a realm where love and absolute interconnectedness or one abide in a non-dual state. After saying that, I have no idea what I just said. But it sounds so good. Love and absolute interconnectedness abide in a non-dual sphere. Okay? So that's the true nature of reality that you're becoming closer and closer to, approximating. Because you're approximating to that, then your behavior will reflect that. You having selfish tendencies will just naturally fade away. And you will find yourself in the beginning to question whether what you want is absolutely selfish or is it something that can actually at least not selfish. We may not know directly if it will benefit others, but at least we begin to be sensitive to, this is a selfish desire. This is not a selfish desire. Okay? We begin to become sensitive to these things. And selfish desires, we begin to have a sense of aversion for them. They make us sick when we have them. And when we feel compelled to fulfill them, they make us even sicker. And then that sickness may even manifest physically, not just psychologically. It may manifest even physically. You may have a cold, you may have a flu, and it's physically a flu, you better go to the doctor. It's physically a cold, you better go to the doctor. You better take proper medicine, turmeric and ginger, all that kind of stuff. But what's connected to that, the what you might call what made that possible is the kind of a sickness that your being is responding to that selfish thought, that selfish wish, and then that impulse to fulfill it. Okay, so you begin to have less and less selfish thoughts, but because of the habit of having had them, you go through a phase of questioning: is this selfish? Is this not selfish? Is this selfish? Is this not? Not exactly saying it in those words, in those terms, but you understand what I mean, right? And then there's a phase because you're trying to distance yourself from selfishness, well, by selfishness, I mean doing something that will help you while it harms someone else. That's what selfishness means. Doesn't mean that's something that benefits you. That's not necessarily selfish. Selfish is specifically, it benefits me with it has the delusion of benefiting me while in some way it harms someone else. It deprives someone else of something. Okay, that's selfish. That's what I'm referring to as selfish. These kinds of tendencies, because we've had the habit with them, in trying to distance ourselves from this habit, we may find ourselves on extreme of not doing anything to benefit ourselves. Okay, that is an extreme. Okay, but it is a phase that you may find yourself going through because you're trying to distance yourself from selfishness. Then eventually you arrive at a middle point where the real intentions of selfishness, you have a clear understanding of it. And when aspirations come, you come to understand, like if you have a burning aspiration to take up something very mundane, to have more money than Elon Musk, okay? It may feel like it's a selfish thing, but because so two people, one has a burning aspiration to have more money than Elon Musk, and another person has the same aspiration, but one of them is proximate to the true nature of reality. But for that person, that is not something where they are willing to harm others to fulfill it. And then fulfilling it is not something that will only benefit them. They have automatically, they're spontaneous, they're close to spontaneous compassion, where they will use it where it benefits them and it will benefit everyone around them. Okay? And the other person who is very far from alignment with truth, I mean love and complete interconnectedness, being da 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 boom boom boom. Okay? That person, their intention is completely selfish. They're willing to harm others to try to get to it. Okay? So even though it looks like the same thing, but it is in reality completely different things because of what they're connected to, because of their intention. Okay? So this is to tell you that just because you find yourself somehow you feel like it's a mission, I need to have more money than Elon Musk. It doesn't necessarily mean you're being selfish. Okay? It could be because you're in alignment or close to, you're in alignment, your approximation to the true nature of reality, that's what the universe wants. And the universe wants to use you as an instrument for that. Okay? All right. So this is the thing with the selfishness and lack of selfishness. So as you approach closer and closer, having selfish intention, selfish self-interest fade away. Because that fades away, remember, selfish self-interest is you're not in connection with truth. You're not in connection with the truth of your experiences, okay? The underlying truth of your experiences. So you're basically in opposition, you're acting in opposition to that true nature of love and complete interdependence, okay? And instead of wanting others happy from your action, you're willing to have others be harmed from your action. Okay. Instead of getting blissed out thinking about how you're going to share this with others, you're completely absorbed about how you are going to be the one who has it. Okay. So completely different things, right? So excuse me. So this synchronicity experience is also a sign of whether or not you need to reevaluate your journey. Did you step off for a little bit, or you're taking a break. That is, you're not on the journey anymore. You're taking a break, or maybe you completely stepped off and you don't know that. Okay, the lack of synchronicity, where it seems your inner world is aligning with the outer world, where what you wish for, the universe is actually supporting you. Okay, when you see there's a disparity between that, that's a sign that maybe I could be more serious on the path. I have the capacity to be more serious, and I'm not being as seriously as I could. I'm not investing as much energy that I actually have the capacity to invest in my spiritual path, that I'm not. That the lack of synchronicity could be a sign of that, because as it's a natural thing to occur as you're on the path for you to continue to have synchronicities. And the synchronicity I'm talking about is what you wish for and seeing what you wish for manifesting. And I'm not talking about the law of manifestation, things like that. I'm not directly talking about that. I'm not talking about it, but I'm not directly talking about it. Okay. An example of a synchronicity, right? You've been practicing, and then you encounter an obstacle. And with your conscious, deliberate effort to try to overcome or repel this obstacle, it seems to be not working. Okay, and you at the same time you have a sincere. You're not saying this. This obstacle, they put the obstacle in my way. Oh my God, oh my goodness. The universe hates me. The universe is testing me, creating all kinds of realities about this. But rather, you acknowledge it. There's this experience that I'm having, and the experience is obstacle experience. I need to double down on my spiritual practice, and then holding sincerely in your heart, I wish this obstacle could go away. And the wish for it to go away is not some completely selfish wish, aspiration. It has, this thing is blocking me from being able to help so-and-so. This thing is blocking me from feeling love and compassion in a deeper way. There's something more meaningful to why you want that obstacle to be removed. And then synchronicity, I'm not going to try. Some synchronicity event take place where either you suddenly know, wait a minute, all I have to do is this and it will be gone. Or you wish strongly for it to go away, and then somehow it goes away in terms of obstacles. In terms of resources that you need, you look around, I really wish that I could take 2 weeks off so I can do this, whatever, right? And I already spent all my allotted vacation time already. Definitely I'm not gonna get this. And then all of a sudden, we looked into we looked into your work history. Actually, you could take an extra week off if you want. So that's the synchronicity that I'm referring to, where what you are wishing for, the universe helps you get it. And when you stay with that, when you stay on your path, that is, stay in your truth. By staying in your truth, I don't mean something very esoteric. I mean, what is really happening with you? Are you aware of what is really happening with you? Okay? Uh, I love this person. Uh, this person doesn't love me the way I love this person. But the truth is, I don't really love the person. I think I love the person, and I want that to take place. But the truth is, if I were to actually look into my heart, I don't really love that person that way. But but it could be, oh, you look like such a great couple. You two should be together. Your grandmother wants you to be with that person. Your grandfather or your friends. They say everyone is encouraging you, and out of a I don't know, out of a weakness to please them, you want to make that your truth, that you love the person, but deep inside you don't really love the person. Or it could be the opposite, where you really love the person, but on the surface, you're appearing not to love the person. Okay? These two examples where I'm talking about being in alignment with your truth is to allow yourself to know, I really don't like this person. That's the truth I'm referring to. I really love this person. I'm madly in love with this person. That's your truth. And these are the truth that you must be in, allow yourself to be aware of. You don't necessarily have to do anything. You don't have to fight the person off or try to gain the person. You don't necessarily have to do all those things if you want. If you don't want to, that is okay. But the thing is to know what is truly in you, what is true, what is your truth. Okay, and when you're in acceptance of that, that's being in alignment with truth. Okay, with your truth. And by in being in acceptance that this is what is here, by being, that's what I mean by being an acceptance of that. Okay, and that itself, that acceptance of this is what is here, that is making you go closer actually to the underlying truth. Okay, and then there are layers that you will experience of these underlying truths. Or the reason that I'm in love with this person is because of this and that connection. Okay, the reason I don't like this person is because of this and that lack of connection. Okay, those are, you could say, more underlying truths. And eventually you want to get to that that very big day when you are in that, when you're completely immersed into that awareness of this, of where you actually directly experience and perceive. Now I understand how love is the fabric of the universe. Now I understand absolute interdependence. Now I understand what the Buddha meant in the Avatamsaka Sutra. The Buddha uses this example in many sutras, but in the Avatamsaka Sutra, he sort of expanded on it. It's where he gives the analogy of the universe being like, within Hinduism, there's this thing called the net of Indra, and it's supposed to be the net of reality. And this net of Indra has jewels where the what do you call those? And the chords or the lines of the net intersect. There's a jewel there. And the analogy that the Buddha reflects by absolute interdependence as being the nature of reality is that each jewel reflects the other jewels. Each jewel reflects all the jewels around it. So in a way, it is, I'm not sure, is that Taoist who says that, or Hinduism? Within a drop of water is the entire universe. I forgot exactly to whom to give this, to give the claim to, but I don't remember. But it's similar to that. Within each phenomena, because of absolute interconnectedness, you're in a way you're connected to everything else in the universe. Each thing is a reflection of everything else. And yet, it keeps this incredible, beautiful display of distinctiveness. Isn't that? That's why sometimes I say the universe is magic, pure magic. Not magic in the sense of somebody's pretending to make a rabbit come out of a hat and deceptive kind of magic. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that sort of wonder, the sort of amazement kind of magic. Universe is purely that. Every single thing, every encounter where you're encountering, or there's a thing, you within that one thing, everything that exists is reflected within it, is contained within it, exists because of everything else. That's the absolute interconnectedness that I'm referring to. And how did we get to this thing? Okay, so when you are getting closer and closer to that being the reality, you have a direct experience of this aspect of reality. And this is just a layer. It's not the absolute yet. I'm going to tell you the absolute. Okay, I just told you. Okay, so that was the absolute. So that layer of the absolute interconnectedness where there is the perceiving in everything containing every other thing. This contains everything, this contains everything, that contains, and yet they have distinct appearances. Okay, you have a vision, a direct experience of that, and when yogis have this experience, and different, you can have this perception, this experience, almost sometimes by accident, like somebody knocks you on the head in the right way, or you take some substance, or you have some kind of experience where you have this perception. Because of this perception, because it is so incredible and so wow, people make that the absolute. Or some people make that the absolute. Oh, the absolute is everything is one thing. Okay, that is not an absolute truth. The absolute truth is much beyond that. Okay, everything reflects everything else, everything contains everything else, but everything maintains a distinctive appearance. Okay. And then also you see love as physical law, as the underlying physics of reality. And it has a completely different meaning for you. It's no longer just the sentimental thing of wishy-washy, this emotion that comes and goes, but you experience it in a direct way where it has a completely different meaning for you, but it's still, you still call it love, because the love that we experience has a little bit of it. The love that we know has a little bit of it. Uh, uh, you, one aspect of the little bit of it would be like a euphoria of connectedness. Okay, a euphoria of connectedness. Okay, all right. All right. So, more on synchronicity. So, as you stay on the path, more synchronicities, synchronous, synchronous things events continue to occur. And you don't necessarily, again, have to know exactly the connection. You don't necessarily have to know the actual cause of it, the origin of it. Like, for example, because of your sincerity to answer someone's question, even though it's not something that you directly in your own experience can say, I know the answer to, but because of the connection to that love, that center, you may spontaneously give the answer. That's a synchronicity that I'm talking about. And you have no idea how you could possibly have had that answer. Okay. Or a situation requires a certain energy from you. And the moment before, you are completely, as far as you are concerned, disconnected from any kind of sorts of kind of resource or energy. And yet at that moment of need, you find yourself having access to that energy or to that resource. Synchronicity. One synchronicity I like to talk about is there's this teacher, a very popular teacher in Tibet. He's so popular, the Chinese government doesn't want him to leave Tibet because they think that I don't know. Well, anyway, they want to keep an eye on him because when there is news that this guy is teaching, 10,000 people show up. That scares the Chinese government. Okay, one person to be able to draw 10,000 people. Okay, and the reason that 10,000 people show up, synchronous things happen with this guy when he's teaching. All of a sudden, the sky is filled with rainbows. Or all of a sudden, he looks at a boulder and not knowing why, he puts his hand on the boulder and his hand goes through and leaves an imprint. Okay, and then this is the synchronicity. So he was asked, "Oh, why do you make these displays?" He said, "I don't know. I'm not doing anything." Okay, you find yourself. So your thinking. This is the very last thing I'm going to say. You find yourself the habit of your thinking changes, and the habit becomes more and more in alignment with the truth of your experience. Can we think of a nice, sexy word for that? Let's say dharma dhatu. Because you're in more alignment with dharma dhatu, your the very way you think becomes in alignment with that. That is, you will not think stupid things anymore. Things which are completely out of alignment. It's impossible for you to think those kinds of thoughts. Just like giving rise to a truly selfish intention, it's impossible for you. Okay, and now you begin to remember I mentioned the center and then emanating from the center. Then you're closer to the center, so you're not this far from it, where something is so distant from the center that it loses its magic, right? You're so close to it, you're always close to magic. Always close to magic, where you now the emergence that comes very close to that center is called spontaneous compassion. Okay, the emergence that comes very close from that, stays close to it, is called spontaneous compassion. By spontaneous compassion means you don't need to memorize 200 pages of do this and don't do that. Okay? It becomes your nature. and what the situation demands, you're completely in alignment to respond, but to respond from that place of proximity where your response is not, I'm thinking, I'm going to be compassionate or I'm going to be loving. You have no choice but to be loving. You have no choice but to be compassionate. It's called spontaneous compassion. Okay. You don't have to worry about, am I doing unethical things? I mean, under journey, because of the habit and wanting to distance yourself, you are so observant of your behavior, you will question, is this ethical? Is this unethical? This is because of the journey. And that's a good stage. But once you eventually will leave that stage alone, and you don't have to worry about, am I going to do something bad? Because it's impossible for you to do something where the intention is to harm others while you benefit yourself. Okay. And and this is where, and this is absolutely the very last thing I'm going to be saying, because it has to be the very last thing. We're running out of time. Uh, uh, so when you're an approximation, that is, as far as you know, you're doing everything that you are able, you're thinking, you're relating to yourself and to others, to your environment, as best as you can. It is in connection to this. Okay, even though you may be this far from it. Okay. Then eventually, as you get closer and closer and closer, some of these synchronous experiences may not necessarily be pleasant. Okay. But as long as you know your destination is that center, then you find within you a resilience to go through it. You will find within yourself you have the resources to overcome it, and you have it within yourself the clarity to understand the connections that give rise to it. That is, you will not find yourself doing that automatic reaction of what that is, that dysfunctional way of reacting to your experiences. It's not that you are okay with it, but you understand it and you acknowledge it. Okay. And you definitely don't see it in a way where you are terrified of it, as if it's going to destroy you, as if it's going to destroy you, meaning in a meaningful way. Okay. That way, you really okay. This is gonna sound very, very, very new agey. You'll find yourself a child of the universe, a real child of the universe. That universe cares for you and only wants the best for you. And you align yourself with that. And whatever happens to you when you're in that alignment, you see it as a blessing. And you're able to take it with joy and with courage and with love. All right. That's the talk on synchronicity. I hope I covered everything that I wanted to, I think. But if you have a question, perhaps there's a couple of things I didn't cover, so ask your question.
I've got a question.
Yes.
But before I ask the question, I just wanted to reiterate Sia's message. It's something that I forgot to mention in the introduction, is that these classes are donation based, and you can donate via Venmo or PayPal. And thank you, Sia, for the reminder. Okay. So as you were mentioning the Indra, the neck of jewels.
Uh-huh.
something came to mind, and there's this saying about Manjushri that is born from the syllable A, and it like so that kind of made me think of this idea that everything in reality is reflected in every other thing. Right? I just wanted, and it's been something that's I've been thinking about recently. It came up, and I can't quite wrap my head around how like this idea of everything coming from the syllable ah
Oh, syllable
yeah.
yeah.
Excuse my pronunciation.
No. I'm just being stupid. Yes. That phrase, everything arises from the syllable something you can contemplate and it can lead to realization. But you have to know a little bit of Sanskrit, where the very first sound that is made is That is the very first sound. And from what does it arise? It arises from the silence before it. So out of that silence, and you can think of that silence, that realm of that non-dual blah blah blah. Nice phrase I used. Or to put it in a philosophical way, that realm of emptiness, that realm of dharma dhatu, where things are not quite yet have an appearance yet, but potential for appearance. And from that, the syllable comes out. Okay. And to say that Manjushri arises from the syllable is, in a way, one way of interpreting it is by looking at your immediate experience, you will be able to make a connection to the ultimate nature of reality. By looking at your immediate experience, that's the syllable So, meaning then Manjushri arising from that, meaning that we have the capacity to have that realization. We have the capacity to have a realization where we look at our direct experience, and through that, looking at that direct experience, we see the dhammadhatu, or the emptiness from which these experiences arise out of. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
So I just want to kind of make sure, recap what I'm understanding.
Okay.
So one thought that came to mind is lyrics from Bob Marley's song, There's a Natural Mystic in the Air.
Mhm.
Another thing that comes to mind when we talk about this is clairvoyance. Because I think we've all had an experience where we thought about somebody and then they call you. So in my mind, synchronicity is being in sync with your spiritual path, is what you're saying. And the closer you are, or the more I won't say closer, but the more grounded you are in that path, the more that synchronicity happens. And when you're not grounded and you use to make a point, the bad karma, or when you're, in my mind, full of ego and not really in sync with what your desires are, because you're not being realistic about it and you're not grounded in your path, then they don't materialize.
Yeah.
So is that what?
Yeah. Very nice. And in terms of the not grounded, sometimes we may find ourselves when we want something that we know is good for us, we can't get to it. But when we want something that will harm us, it comes easy. Yeah, that's another way of experiencing that. Not being grounded. Yeah. All right, thank you. That's a very nice way of summarizing it. Yes.
Thank you.
Actually, just did that.
But then we would be done already.
All right. Any other questions? Yes.
I have something. I experience, no matter what it is, I experience it as being a positive thing. It seems like it's happening to me. It could be a very bad thing, but it seems like it's happening for my benefit. And I feel that this is how I see the universe. So, for example, recently I had to have an operation on my wrist, and I started thinking, well, I had to go on vacation, and I thought, well, I have to really exercise. And I did a yoga move done really bad. I prevented myself from going on vacation, and I had to have 2 MRIs because of it. It was just a whole big thing. And in any event, I had to deal with pain and excruciating pain night after night, waking up. And I dealt with it. I became like one with it. And I found my whole body feeling like, oh, this is great. It was like endorphins.
Mm-hmm.
But I needed that. I needed to be more in my body in a spiritual, in an energetic way.
Mm-hmm.
It really worked very well. I worked on my blood pressure because my blood pressure was getting up because of it. And it went down to like 101, 106
Mm-hmm.
over 68. It was like I was working on these things. I needed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that I experience everything as being that. What happens to people is what they need. And
Yeah.
even if it's a bad thing, it can work out well, or it can really be bad, but you can look at it as though it is a positive thing. It's needed, even if it's bad karma. Well, I'm experiencing this. I need this bad karma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is how you begin to relate with your experiences when you're grounded in your spirituality, when you're in alignment, where whatever experience you're having, it becomes a learning thing. But I don't want to make it an absolute thing that whoever is experiencing whatever they're experiencing, it depends on the person, of course, right? Yeah. A painful experience is a painful experience. It doesn't have to be a suffering experience. That's a distinction to make, right? We have a choice to make it suffering or not. But we shouldn't dismiss, we shouldn't not acknowledge that it is painful when that's what it is. But deal with it in such a way where it doesn't become suffering. Yeah.
Absolutely. Painful experiences is not an experience that you say, this is something I really want. It's a painful experience. It's not a good experience. It's not a desired experience, but it's a necessary one. And if you see it's necessary, then you're kind of in alignment with what is, instead of like instead of every part of your body saying, no, I don't want this. It's like, I need this. I'll have to have it. Sort of like that. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're still doing what needs to be done to alleviate the pain. You're going to see the doctor, you're taking your medication, but your attitude, the way you're relating with it is not dysfunctional. The way you're relating with it is not a way that just creates more just creates suffering. But you can actually relate with it in such a way where it actually takes you closer to that center, that fundamental, that dhamma, if you relate with it properly.
Wow. That went full circle for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right. I'm gonna have to let you guys go. It's really late. I know. Wasunda has to wake up in 5 minutes.
I'm not sleeping.
I mean, time for him to wake up is in 5 minutes normally. Not that I know. I'm just joking. Okay. Get ready uh, for closing. Again, thank you very much, everyone, for participating, for joining us, and for sharing your energy, your presence with us. Okay, so until next time, so let's do a closing meditation. It's the same closing meditation, elaborate. So go to the intention to meditate. Feel all the different parts of your being responding to this intention, the physical, the energetic, the emotional, the intellectual. Feel themselves sort of arranging, aligning themselves, and begin to feel it physically in the body with a sense of calm, a sense of stability. Begin to feel it in the breath and gently go to the breath. Make the intention to fully commit to enter the meditation state with a nice deep conscious breath. Gently, fully breathe in. Release. And as you release, allow yourself to go deeper into the calm, deeper into the pleasantness, deeper into clarity, deeper into radiance, deeper into presence. And begin to feel that we are all sitting wherever you are in a circle. And begin to think about me, how it is comprised of a collection. And each part of the collection says me. When the right hand needs help, the left hand is ready to help me, not the right hand is ready to help the left hand. And let this sense of me now expand to our circle, where that same impulse the left hand feels for the right hand, we feel it for each other. The sense of readiness to help each other with the same attitude of helping me. And this realization manifests, crystallizes into a bright presence in the center of our circle. And once we perceive this bright presence, our sense of meanness begins to expand and becomes more and more solidified. And this center becomes brighter and brighter and begin to expand. And as it expands and gets brighter, it begins to absorb within itself everything that it touches until we completely disappear into just this big presence, bright presence. Continues to expand, includes your pets, includes your neighbors, continues to expand your neighborhood, your city, until there is that sense of everything is absorbed. And that impulse we felt for the right to help the left, we feel it towards the ocean. We feel it towards the fish in the ocean. We feel it towards the birds. We feel it towards the sky. We feel it towards the clouds in the sky. We feel it towards mountains. We feel it towards trees, towards rivers, towards lakes. We feel it towards every living thing. And that sense of me having expanded becoming boundless, stable. We no longer need an outside vision to remind us, so that ball of bright presence begins to shrink. As it shrinks, the differentiations begins to appear, but they appear with a shine, a glistening from that brightness. And it comes again to the very center of our circle. And we see a ray of light connecting our hearts with that circle, with that center of bright light. And we have a definite sense of, when I sincerely help myself, I help all. When I sincerely help all, I help myself. And the rays of light dissipates, entering into each one of our hearts. And we stay with this realization. When I sincerely help myself, I help all of us. When I sincerely help all of us, I help myself. Now go back to just feeling of the meditation, the calm, the pleasantness, the clarity, the radiance, the collected attention, feeling the depth, rejoice, and feeling that energy that sort of tells you you are meditating, this merit energy. And with compassion, with love, wish to share it, wish to disperse it and share it. So think of whatever it is that sincerely you are concerned about, and dedicate to address that concern. Okay. Get ready to come out of the meditation. Take a nice deep breath and release. And as you release, deliberately, consciously become aware of your immediate surroundings. Again, feel through the sense of touch, the clothing, the temperature. Hear the different sounds, and deliberately let your eyes see colors, shapes, lights, shadows. All right. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening, and good morning, Musanda.